Wrestling is as much about storytelling as it is about strength, skill, and showmanship. And nowhere is that more visible than in the incredible body transformations of its biggest stars. These athletes don't just change their physiques for looks. They reshape themselves to embody new characters, push their limits, and keep up with the brutal demands of the sport. Some transformations tell stories of perseverance and dedication, while others reveal the hidden struggles behind the scenes. From shocking weight gains to dramatic slimming downs, each wrestler's journey offers a glimpse into the sacrifices and determination it takes to stay at the top of this high-octane world. In this list, we're diving deep into 15 of the most radical body transformations in wrestling history, tales of grit, glory, and sometimes tragedy that have left fans awestruck and forever changed the way we see these larger-than-life performers. 1. Big Show. From towering mountain to shredded warrior. When the name Big Show comes up in wrestling, the first thing that hits you is his sheer size. Standing over 7 feet tall and tipping the scales at more than 400 pounds, Big Show was, and still is, an absolute giant in the world of wrestling. His presence in the ring is like a moving mountain, an immovable object that instantly commands attention and respect. WWE even nicknamed him the world's largest athlete, a testament to the awe-inspiring nature of his natural size. But Big Show's journey goes far beyond just being big. In fact, his career is an inspiring saga of transformation and relentless self-improvement. When he first debuted in WWE, his enormous bulk was both his greatest strength and his biggest challenge. His size made him an intimidating powerhouse, but it also limited his agility and endurance. Wrestling isn't just about size, it's about movement, stamina, and storytelling in the ring, and early on, Show struggled with some of those demands. At one point, his weight ballooned so much that WWE actually sent him back to developmental, a rare and humbling move for a star of his stature, to improve his conditioning. This moment of vulnerability could have spelled the end for many, but Big Show's response was characteristically determined. What set him apart was his unwavering commitment to reinvention. Over the years, fans witnessed him cycle through different phases, from a lumbering giant who seemed almost too massive to move, to a surprisingly leaner and more athletic competitor who looked every bit the warrior. One of the biggest surprises was when Big Show revealed photos of himself sporting a defined six-pack, a transformation that stunned fans worldwide. It was a reminder that behind that massive frame was a man willing to put in the work, push his limits, and cut out bad habits. This wasn't a quick fix. It took years of relentless training, strict nutrition, and a serious lifestyle overhaul. The payoff was more than physical. By shedding excess weight and boosting his fitness, Big Show extended his career well beyond what many thought possible for a man his size. In a sport where aging giants are often discarded or sidelined, Big Show stayed relevant and competitive, proving resilience and adaptability can defy the odds. 2. China. From powerhouse to glamorous icon. If anyone embodies the phrase unrecognizable transformation, it's China. Bursting into WWE as the ninth wonder of the wrestling world, China was an imposing figure unlike any other female wrestler of her era. She wasn't just strong, she was a powerhouse with an almost masculine physique, muscular, tough, and unapologetically fierce. This raw strength made her a perfect villain in the wrestling world, a monster heel who stood in stark contrast to the more traditionally feminine female wrestlers around her. Chyna's presence in the ring was electric. She represented a break from convention, a woman who could throw down with the best of them and command attention with her physical dominance. But as her star rose, the pressures to conform to a different ideal began to weigh heavily. Wrestling, at its core, is entertainment, and audiences increasingly demanded a more glamorous, marketable image, one that fit the mold of mainstream appeal rather than raw power. To navigate this tricky landscape, China underwent one of the most dramatic physical and personal transformations wrestling has ever seen. Her once heavily muscled frame slimmed down considerably, especially in the upper body. But the change went beyond just training and dieting. She also turned to cosmetic surgery, including jawline reconstruction and breast augmentation, to soften her features and project a more traditionally feminine image, while still maintaining her trademark intensity and strength. The difference between early China and her later self was so pronounced that many fans barely recognized the same woman. This transformation wasn't simply cosmetic, it was strategic. China's new look opened doors beyond the wrestling ring, allowing her to break into mainstream entertainment in ways that were previously unimaginable for her. Her appearance on the cover of Playboy magazine marked a major milestone, skyrocketing sales and launching her into a broader spotlight. 3. Ric Flair. Turning tragedy into triumph. Mention Ric Flair, and you instantly picture the legendary Nature Boy, a lean, charismatic champion draped in dazzling robes, known for stamina, technical skill, and showmanship. Flair's epic hour-long matches pushed the boundaries of endurance and storytelling in wrestling. But few remember, the man behind the legend started off very differently. Early in his career, Flair weighed nearly 300 pounds and had a stocky, almost unathletic build. To fans, he sometimes looked more like an overweight guitarist than the athletic icon he would become. It was hard to imagine this heavier, bulkier man evolving into the refined Nature Boy who would dominate wrestling for decades. The turning point came in 1975, when Flair's career nearly ended in tragedy. A horrific plane crash left him with a broken back and the grim prognosis that he might never wrestle again. For many, this kind of injury would have spelled the end. But Flair's story was one of grit and determination. He refused to accept defeat. Through sheer willpower, rigorous training, and unwavering dedication, Flair shed the excess weight that had held him back. He reinvented himself completely, not by relying on size, but by mastering speed, agility, and technical prowess. This transformation wasn't vanity, it was survival. The leaner, sharper Ric Flair became capable of legendary matches that fans still celebrate today. His physical evolution also reflected his growth as a performer, a man who had turned tragedy into triumph and redefined what it meant to be a champion. Flair's journey is a powerful reminder that resilience and reinvention can rewrite destiny. 4. Rikishi. From lean fighter to beloved powerhouse. If Ric Flair embodies lean endurance, Rikishi represents the opposite end of the spectrum, a massive, sumo-like powerhouse with surprising agility and a larger-than-life personality. Best known for his enormous backside and the unforgettable stink face move, Rikishi became a beloved and unforgettable wrestling character. But rewind to the 1990s, when Rikishi wrestled under the name Fatu in the tag team the Head Shrinkers. Back then, he was slimmer, more toned, and nowhere near the huge figure fans later came to love. In fact, the shrink in Head Shrinkers was an ironic nod to his relatively leaner frame. As time went on, Rikishi's weight ballooned significantly, bringing with it serious health and performance challenges. WWE eventually released him due to concerns about his size and conditioning. But this apparent setback became the catalyst for one of wrestling's most memorable reinventions. Repackaged as Rikishi, his enormous frame combined with flashy hip-hop dance moves and raw wrestling power made him stand out from the crowd. His unique style and personality captured fans' hearts. Rikishi's transformation from Fatu to Rikishi proved that extremes in body change could redefine a career and create unforgettable personas. He went from a lean fighter to a beloved giant, showing that wrestling success can come in many forms, not just lean athleticism. 5. Brian Cage. From cruiserweight underdog to muscle-bound juggernaut, calling Brian Cage. Just a wrestler barely scratches the surface. His physicality in the ring is nothing short of awe-inspiring. Fans often describe him as a machine, and when you see his massive shoulders, bulging arms, and chiseled chest, it's easy to understand why. What makes Cage's transformation so jaw-dropping is where he started. Before 2013, he wrestled mostly as a cruiserweight, maintaining a leaner, faster build. Early in WWE's developmental system, Cage looked athletic, but far from the muscle-bound powerhouse he would become. His journey took a dramatic turn, fueled by what some might call near-obsessive dedication to bodybuilding. Cage threw himself into grueling workouts, strict diets, and relentless training, methodically expanding his muscle mass to staggering proportions. Month after month, his physique morphed from average to almost unreal. This transformation sparked questions about naturalness and performance enhancers, which is common in such cases. But beyond the debate, there's no denying Cage's body became his brand. His massive frame isn't just for show. It's a weapon in the ring, a statement of power and presence few can match. From cruiserweight underdog to muscle-bound juggernaut, Brian Cage stands as one of wrestling's most dramatic physical evolutions, proof that dedication and discipline can transform an athlete completely and create a unique legacy. 6. Eddie Guerrero. The heart and hustle behind a legendary transformation. Eddie Guerrero's name conjures memories of dazzling wrestling skills, infectious charisma, and moments that felt genuinely magical inside the squared circle. But beneath the surface of his iconic career lies a complex story of transformation, both physical and emotional, that mirrors the peaks and valleys of his life. When Guerrero burst onto the wrestling scene in the 1990s, he was defined by a compact, athletic build that perfectly suited his high-flying, technical wrestling style. His moves were quick and precise, reflecting the agility and stamina that a lean frame offers. Eddie was the embodiment of the lucha libre spirit, blending speed, skill, and showmanship into an unforgettable package. However, as Guerrero climbed the ladder toward WWE superstardom, capturing hearts and titles alike, his physical appearance began to shift noticeably. The once nimble and lithe athlete gradually developed a larger, more muscular physique, one that seemed almost unrecognizable compared to his earlier form. This wasn't merely a byproduct of standard training. Guerrero openly shared that the pressures to succeed, the relentless grind of life on the road, and the burden of maintaining a larger-than-life image took an enormous toll. Wrestling's unforgiving schedule, constant travel, frequent matches, and limited time for rest compounded these stresses. Eddie's drive to compete alongside WWE's heaviest hitters pushed him to bulk up, striving to match not just their physical size, but their intimidating presence. Yet the physical transformation came at a heavy cost. Behind the scenes, Guerrero wrestled with personal demons, including struggles with substance abuse and health challenges that often go unseen by fans. The weight of these challenges, combined with his rigorous lifestyle, contributed tragically to his untimely death from heart failure at just 38 years old. 7. Jinder Mahal. From underdog to WWE's Warrior King. Few wrestling transformations sparked as much buzz and debate as Jinder Mahal's. When Mahal first stepped into WWE's spotlight, he was often dismissed for his soft physique and lack of presence in the ring. Critics and fans alike mocked him, some even joking that his muscles looked like a pair of socks filled with yogurt, a cutting metaphor that stuck in many minds. Mahal's early WWE career was marked by struggle, limited opportunities, and a perception that he lacked the physicality to succeed at the highest level. But Mahal's story is one of remarkable reinvention. Years later, after returning to WWE's main roster, he emerged not just as a wrestler, but as a warrior king, ripped, muscular, and radiating an unshakable confidence. This dramatic transformation earned him the regal nickname Maharaj, reflecting both his newfound physical power and his commanding presence. Mahal credits this turnaround to strict discipline and lifestyle changes. He cut out alcohol entirely, steered clear of drugs, and adhered to meticulous nutrition plans designed to fuel muscle growth and recovery. His workout regimen was nothing short of Olympic-level dedication, hours every day in the gym, focused on building mass, power, and athleticism. This wasn't a casual commitment. It was a full-time mission to rewrite his story. The physical change reshaped more than his appearance. It elevated his career. In 2017, Mahal stunned the wrestling world by capturing the WWE Championship, an achievement few had predicted given his rocky start. While questions about the naturalness of his transformation linger in wrestling circles, the undeniable truth is the sheer effort and persistence behind his rise. Mahal's story is a powerful reminder that reinvention, when paired with discipline and belief, can defy expectations and rewrite destiny. 8. Triple H, the evolution from aristocrat to muscle machine. When Triple H first appeared on the WWE scene as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, his image was that of an aristocrat, well-dressed, polished, and athletic but not overpowering. His physique was balanced and fit, but it didn't immediately scream dominant force. This early version of Triple H embodied sophistication more than sheer muscle power, giving off the aura of a man more cerebral than brute. However, as his wrestling character evolved, so too did his physical form. Over a few years, the aristocratic persona gave way to something much more imposing: a true muscle machine. Triple H's shoulders broadened into massive plates of muscle, his arms bulged with veins and power, his chest expanded like armor, and his abs were chiseled to perfection, each detail speaking to the hard work and commitment behind the transformation. What made this change so remarkable wasn't just the size, but the balance. Triple H didn't bulk up haphazardly. He sculpted a physique that was both massive and agile, powerful enough to intimidate, yet quick enough to execute the fast-paced moves that made his matches exciting. His transformation wasn't about bloating. It was about achieving a finely tuned machine built for wrestling success. Fans and critics alike wondered how Triple H managed this feat. He never hid his dedication to the gym. Countless midnight workouts, grueling training sessions, and strict nutritional discipline became his lifestyle. Training wasn't a hobby for him. It was a calling, a necessity. 9. Hulk Hogan, the icon who slimmed down. When you think of Hulk Hogan, the image that probably comes to mind is that of a muscle-bound, larger-than-life hero, ripping off his yellow tank top, veins bulging, and crowd chanting Hulkamania. His physique in the 1980s and 90s was iconic, a symbol of wrestling's golden era, embodying power, charisma, and the spirit of heroism. But Hogan's story isn't just about getting bigger. It's also about slimming down, a change that made him memorable in a very different way later in his career. After dominating wrestling for years with his bulging muscles and heroic persona, Hogan faced challenges that would change the course of his physical and public image. The steroid scandal that rocked wrestling in the late 90s cast a long shadow over Hogan's career. Though he publicly denied steroid use, the controversy tainted his image and pushed the industry to reconsider its approach to muscle-bound wrestlers. Vince McMahon and WWE started encouraging stars to pursue a more natural, toned look to avoid negative media attention and government scrutiny. Hogan adapted to this new era with savvy professionalism. Fans noticed when he returned to WWE years later that he was slimmer and less bulky than the Hulkamania days. This transformation wasn't random, but reflected an industry-wide shift, as well as Hogan's personal evolution. Despite slimming down, Hogan's charisma, energy, and connection with fans never waned. In many ways, his ability to reinvent himself symbolized a pivotal turning point in wrestling history, a move away from sheer muscle mass and toward showmanship, personality, and heart. Hogan proved that sometimes less really is more, and that true wrestling legends are defined not just by size, but by their ability to adapt and inspire. 10. Scott Steiner. The rise of Big Papa Pump. Scott Steiner's transformation might just be the most jaw-dropping in wrestling history. Early in his career, as one half of the Steiner brothers' tag team, Scott was known for a muscular but athletic build that balanced power and agility. Fans respected him for his wrestling ability and technical skill, seeing him as a perfect blend of strength and finesse. But by the late days of WCW, Scott's body changed dramatically. He ballooned into what fans and critics would call a muscle monster. His shoulders became as broad as fortresses, his arms bulged like cannons, and his whole physique transformed into an exaggerated display of raw muscle. Gone was the agile technical wrestler, replaced by the larger-than-life Big Papa Pump. This extreme change shocked fans and became the defining feature of Steiner's legacy. Alongside his wild promos and unforgettable personality, his exaggerated physique made him impossible to ignore. Scott's transformation pushed the boundaries of what a wrestler's body could look like. Part spectacle, part power statement. However, this shift came with trade-offs. His agility and technical finesse declined as brute force became his trademark. While some fans missed the old Steiner, others embraced the spectacle of Freakzilla, a persona that remains unforgettable in wrestling history. 11. Randy Orton, the evolution of the apex predator. Randy Orton's journey through professional wrestling is not just one of wins and losses, but of constant evolution, both in his craft and his physical presence. From his early days as a fresh-faced second-generation star to becoming WWE's quintessential apex predator, Orton's body and style have shifted and adapted alongside his growing legacy. In 2005, Orton faced a significant setback. A serious shoulder injury forced him off WWE television, leaving fans uncertain about what the future held for the young talent. When he eventually returned, many expected him to come back with the same lean, wiry frame that had defined his early career. Instead, Orton was noticeably slimmer and more streamlined than anticipated. This leaner build matched perfectly with his Viper persona: cold, calculated, and precise. Unlike many wrestlers who rely on brute strength and sheer size, Orton's style depended on speed, timing, and technique, striking swiftly and retreating like a venomous snake. Over time, as Orton matured and his career demanded bigger, more physically imposing battles, his body naturally responded. He began to rebuild muscle mass, adding thickness and power to match the intensity of WWE's main event scene. Orton's transformation was never about going over the top with bulk, but about gaining the kind of strength that allowed him to withstand and dish out punishment in grueling matches against some of wrestling's toughest opponents. The most striking change came in 2023 after nearly 2 years out due to a severe back injury. Fans were curious about how Orton would look after such a lengthy absence, and when he finally returned, the answer was undeniable. He was battle-tested, sculpted, and more formidable than ever. His shoulders were broad and commanding, his chest defined and muscular, and his entire frame radiated toughness honed by pain, recovery, and determination. 12th test, the rise and tragic fall of a WWE giant. In the early 2000s, Test stood out in WWE as one of the company's towering giants, a man whose presence was impossible to ignore. With a physique that was both massive and chiseled, he had the look of a steel warrior, someone who could intimidate opponents with sheer size, yet move with surprising agility. His cold, almost robotic demeanor in the ring added to his mystique, making him a formidable presence in WWE storylines and matches. By 2002, Test had reinvented himself with a cleaner image, sporting short trunks and a more sculpted frame. This shift highlighted his impressive physique, showcasing a wrestler who balanced size and speed in a way that few others could manage. Fans appreciated his versatility, and Test seemed poised for a long, successful run. But the wrestling world's physical demands soon caught up with him. A devastating neck injury disrupted his trajectory, sidelining him during a crucial point in his career. After leaving WWE, Test found a new home in ECW, where he made a surprising return in 2006, looking bigger than ever. This sudden and dramatic bulk sparked whispers and rumors about steroid use and performance enhancers. Test himself later admitted to using a combination of steroids, prescription drugs, and other substances to maintain his size and intensity, a confession that cast a harsh light on the often unseen pressures wrestlers face to keep their edge. Inside the ring, Test had transformed into a muscle-bound powerhouse, delivering heavy-hitting offense with the brute force his new physique afforded. However, this resurgence was short-lived. His battles with WWE's wellness policy, compounded by personal struggles, led to his release once again. 13th. Brock Lesnar. The beast who redefines physicality. Few wrestlers embody the concept of physical reinvention quite like Brock Lesnar. Since bursting onto the scene, Lesnar has stunned fans with each comeback, showing an uncanny ability to reshape his body to suit the needs of his career, whether in WWE or the brutal world of mixed martial arts. When Lesnar returned to WWE in 2012, the fans witnessed a different version of the beast. Years of competing in the UFC had sculpted him into a leaner, more agile fighter, an athlete built not just for muscle mass, but for speed, endurance, and explosiveness. Unlike the typical wrestling behemoth who relies on size alone, Lesnar's UFC experience demanded a more versatile physicality. But WWE's demands for spectacle and dominance called for a different look, so Lesnar quickly bulked up again. His muscles grew massive and steel-like, his body becoming a fortress of raw power and intimidation. He transformed into a walking symbol of destruction, each flex and movement radiating an aura of unstoppable force. This hulking physique became the perfect physical representation of the character WWE wanted him to be, a monster who could crush any challenger. Lesnar's body shifts again whenever he prepares for MMA fights. He sheds the bulk, focusing on explosiveness and speed, prioritizing agility over mass. A prime example was UFC 200 in 2016, when he entered the octagon looking like a gladiator forged from pure steel, ripped, vascular, and precise. 14. Braun Strowman. From strongman to shredded monster. Before WWE made him a household name, Braun Strowman was already a giant in the world of professional strongman competitions. Weighing nearly 400 pounds, he possessed an awe-inspiring frame built for raw power and endurance. When he debuted in WWE's Wyatt family, Strowman arrived as a wild-haired, thick-bearded, indestructible giant, a force of nature with the kind of presence that commands attention. But Strowman wasn't content to remain a one-dimensional powerhouse. As his solo career took off, he reshaped his body and his approach to the sport. He blended brute strength with surprising speed and stamina, a combination rarely seen in wrestlers of his size. Through intense training and a refined focus on nutrition, he began shedding weight and tightening muscles, evolving from a natural powerhouse into a true athlete. By 2022, Strowman stunned fans with a return at around 335 pounds, but this time with a shredded, defined physique and single-digit body fat. For someone his size, achieving such a level of conditioning is nothing short of remarkable. His transformation proved that mastering the body can elevate a monster into something even more terrifying, an unstoppable force honed by discipline and dedication. Strowman's evolution symbolizes the modern wrestler's journey, where raw strength meets athleticism and conditioning, redefining what it means to be a giant in the wrestling world. 15. AJ Styles, the silent strength behind the transformation. When AJ Styles arrived in WWE in 2016, he was already a phenomenon. Known as one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, Styles boasted a lean, agile build perfect for the high-flying, fast-paced style he mastered over years of global wrestling experience. However, WWE's landscape, especially among its bigger stars, demanded more muscle and presence. Over time, AJ thickened his shoulders and chest, packing on muscle while carefully maintaining the agility and speed that made him so exciting to watch. This transformation wasn't about becoming the biggest guy in the room, but about increasing impact, adding weight to every strike without sacrificing the fluidity of his moves. After a long layoff, Styles returned in late 2023 with a physique that was chiseled, vascular, and powerful, visibly reflecting a darker, colder persona. Gone was the golden boy image. In its place stood a menacing, commanding force who seemed ready to take on any challenger with ruthless precision. When asked about his transformation, Styles gave a simple answer. No. No elaborate explanations, no detailed accounts of his training regimen, just a quiet confidence that his body and performance now spoke louder than words. Want daily knowledge drops? Subscribe now. Your brain will thank you later.